Hello and welcome back to AI Battle number 2. I've done a little bit of changes. This is a different map technically. I have it so that I am the red unit, and each one will be taken out pretty quick. And they can't move this unit yet. It'll impact the battle slightly because they might try and take it out, but it is what it is. Now their roadmap, version 2.2 was just released, and I know they talked a little bit about AI stuff, so I just wanted to give some critique and use this gameplay footage to show how the game behaves. And it'll be kind of automated because my units will be taken out. And the reason why I haven't started quite yet is because this unit, you can tell, is 1, 2, 3, can hit that. 1, 2, can hit that. 1, 2, can hit that. Or I can go 1, 2, 3, and hit here. So it can hit pretty much any of these buildings. So what's the question is, will they pick the same building, or will they always pick the same building? So we're going to do that. I'm going to quick show. You can only pick skirmish, by the way, right now. So I'm the human player. Everyone starts with 6,000. All the powers are enabled. So let's go ahead and play map. I'm going to go ahead and end my turn. 4 unused units. There's a little bit of a hiccup. I'm not sure as to why this is, because I have 4 unused units, or I never moved anything. It's happened in my old test. It is what it is. There we go. They go ahead and take that out. And both of them so far have gone for the gear shot. I did also turn off animations to help speed this up, because my test run took forever to do. That one went for the barracks, which I don't think happened in my test last time I did. So we'll see if they build any infantry to help get that extra income. Only the left-hand side has done that. Nope. They started with 6,000, so we know they have enough money for that. Obviously, building infantry here is something that can help build stuff out. Now, part of the reason this is probably occurring is because I built this in a more of Advanced Wars by Web style, where you have a unit and whatnot. I didn't give it the first player turn advantage because it's the AI and how it operates. But it's not building any units. It's not thinking about capturing cities at all for value. It's really interesting. And it's not as simple as, if I can afford a unit, build it. It's specifically saving for something, it seems. And that's, I don't know. Like, we're going with the bomber start like we did last time. And we have fighter on the left-hand side. I am presuming that fighter is in response to the bomber, which makes sense. It is both a cheaper unit, and it also helps combat the bomber. Last time the bombers were built is because a bomber movement and attack was right in range to a building. Here, for a sniper, 24,000 to beat a 4,500 unit makes no sense. That one didn't attack because it's an allied sniper. But like you saw, it just moved like 2 over and then just died. Got 0 value. It just evaporated 24k. Which, notably, should be a massive advantage for every other computer. Okay? But as we'll see here, it takes forever for anyone to be eliminated. That power makes no sense. That power makes slight sense, but it's not combating. Like, why would... You think you would want to use your power on a unit that you're facing, or... It has no concept of, like, holding a power for value. I think that's fine. Probably don't need to edit it. It's probably just how I have set my unit test up. That being said, how it uses its power is probably gonna need some tweaking, because it'll just hit random stuff on the map. My guess is it is just looking for the most valuable attack versus an opponent. So maybe it's my unit test. I'll have to try and do some 2v2s at some point. It's just, here's the other thing. It doesn't seem to care about enemy ranges, at least in this specific instance. During the campaign, it would space against like artillery, like just outside its range. It would constantly hover there, which is great. But when it comes to like aerial combat, it like doesn't respect the opponent at all. Now, I did give them harbors, because I wanted to see if they would buy, what's it called? Whatever raft unit that lets you take over rigs, because rigs are twice as valuable as cities. And I did a little test on my own, put some rigs in the middle, and that really pulled the computers towards the center. So I want to do it this time, but have a layer of separation with the ocean. The reason why I didn't have bridges to cross over is because I wasn't sure if boats could move through or not. And I didn't want to mess with that, because then it would split things up too much. I wanted a more open center in the seas, just to see how naval AI would operate. And well, we're not seeing a whole lot of naval units being built. It seems to really favor air units. Like, that attack makes no sense. And they're aware of like units just kind of going in to die. Pretty simple fix is just to detect if they do an attack, does the unit die, and then factor that in somehow. There's maybe factor in some heal AI, some sort of condition. Maybe like if 3 HP or less and X, Y, or total distance to repair is less than this repair or something, you know. Or finding ways to do strategic blocking. Another thing that a lot of games will have, like Fire Emblem for example, it'll have particular unit orders of when it moves which types of units. So I'm going to try and pay attention, see if we notice any behavior like that. Like, does it always move infantry first? It's not really building any. So we'll see, is it always moving like jets first, or does it always do range attacks first, you know, with these anti-air? Okay, so we're getting infantry first. I've kind of got a mix, because the battle's ranged, the anti-air is ranged, and the fighter's last. Infantry attack, jet, and it kind of flipped those. Okay. Infantry attack, move. Also, like, what is it saving up for these jets? There's a... Yeah, I think the next thing the computer or AI needs to factor in is its composition, because it builds a lot of redundancy, like 2 anti-air, and then a bunch of like jets. So I think it needs to factor in its opponents and its unit composition. Sorry if you heard that burp. It should look to see if your opponent has a airport, or how many, if any, air units. Then it should look to see, does it have something with a higher attack value, such as the anti-air units, or those like anti-air tanks? I don't know what the unit's called off the top of my head. To combat it. And then do an assessment. Because if it has 2 anti-air, probably doesn't need to be buying all this anti-air. It's just kind of a waste. So the other thing it should probably consider is infantry numbers. Like if it has no infantry, should probably build at least 1 infantry that turn. You could set up some sort of priority, like it would prefer to buy this stuff and add up the total, see if it can afford that, and then purchase those units. Because anything that helps gain income would be pretty helpful. Speaking of infantry, it's probably not a bad idea to assess the gray buildings or the neutral buildings as a bit of a graph problem. I'm shooting my shot here. I haven't done any computer designs for games, but if you're unfamiliar with the graph, basically you have a tree. So you have like a root, like a starting point, which could be your space that spawns your infantry, so your barracks. And then you'll have a node, which would be like a city or another neutral building. And then you'll have like a distance, so it knows how far it is from each spot. And then it can factor in the shortest distance, figure out how to try and get control of those neutral buildings to try and generate that value, because it seems like the AI or computer really, really wants value out of its buildings. That's why it constantly tries to deny its opponent's structures, which isn't necessarily a bad strategy for a computer to implement, but it just seems to kind of do it willy-nilly, like go into your opponent's base on the other side of the map when there's clearly anti-air, so not respecting your opponent like we already talked about. But just being able to kind of do that, it could probably maybe even make some of these decisions a little bit simpler. Though I am just kind of shooting my shot, have not exactly programmed computers to do this. So props, that's skills I don't have. Just thinking about generic tools that help solve these sort of problems. Now, as we can also see here, I have these roads which provide no terrain defense bonuses at all. And then I have the snow terrain, which should have 1. It'll act like a plains. Doesn't care. The computer does not care that you get no defense bonus there. And it's not like there's anything in range. There's 0 area units in the center of the map, so there's no reason. The big advantage is it gets extra movement, but as you can see, it's not really using that movement. It'll move like 1 or 2 squares, and it'll get attacked. It does not factor in if an attack can happen. It doesn't care. So that's another note for the developers. We're finally seeing, for at least several turns now, some naval combat after it has seems to built some sort of air structure. It goes for naval combat. Looks like we have 2 battleships, and again, doesn't really respect if a unit can be attacked or not. Wicked EMP strike. So we'll just get like a bunch of battleships that will have very little impact, if any. Now, Blaze, on the other hand, can soak up a lot of these shots and then just heal for 5, which is massive. Like here, that frigate probably could have gone in front of the battleship, help block. Like, it doesn't think about blocking to protect its units. So let's pay a little extra more attention, see what's going on. See, like, I don't get why that power's there. Wouldn't it be better for it to use its power versus something it's actively fighting? But I guess it's just going for the value. Okay. If anyone's wondering, the reason why I did pick these AIs or computers or players or whatever you want to call them, is because I made sure they use their powers. I kind of cycled through a lot of them, and these ones seem to consistently do it. The Ice faction, not available on the editor, so I cannot test that one at all, but that's neither here nor there. We're talking more general. As we've kind of noticed, it doesn't really matter which faction is being played or character. They all seem to be using the same tactics, which might just be a quirk of the editor. But you'd think they would do a little bit of a different strategy, because more valuable units on Blaze is better because you can help them survive and repair the units, so you get more value out of your power. But some other factions obviously don't get that benefit. For example, like Flint here, if he can just put up enough of a blockade, get a bunch of value out of his lower cost units, he can use this big swipe to do big swifts of damage on higher priority targets, which just generates more gold. Like, look at here, battleship's back up to 9. Like, that is so much gold. That's 12,000 just on that one unit. Don't know what that even is. Anyways, getting back to the unit movement on how it should operate. My suggestion is that it should move any unit that has more than one range first. It should do its attack and movement, factoring in if it's currently debuffed or is going to take retaliatory damage, potentially. Then after it does its attack, it should move in infantry, tanks, vehicles, whatever, to attack and form somewhat of a wall to protect the artillery units. If that can be done, the AI's power drastically increases because it is using artillery units effectively and it can protect them. Then, if you can get it to factor in what the opponent is building and the tools it currently has, using probably some sort of a scoring system, the AI will be significantly smarter, and that shouldn't be too bad, I think. Maybe I'm a little off my mark here. If that attack makes no sense. Just move your unit back and heal it, because you need to... Anyways. Being able to do those few things would be a very big improvement on how the CPUs operate. We're getting a lot more naval battle here. And here's the interesting bit. No one built anything for those oil rigs. Now, I know there are several maps where they have that, like on the first, I think it's the big mission. It looks like that's gonna be in the game. Spoilers, it's not. Where there's a bunch of oil rigs and they spawn units to try and take over those oil rigs. They have frigates and everything else. But nope, doesn't seem to be doing that here. Maybe that's a specific to... Oh, it is a different computer too. So only options here are Medusa and Scourge? No, Drekker. Yeah, you can't play Scourge to the other guy. Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna keep pushing through. Turn 44, folks. Last time, we ended at about turn 50. This map is a little bit bigger. This is a 30 by 30. I made it square just to try and make things even rather than elongated, because I'm doing 4 CPUs just to show like different powers, how they're used, to try and tell some differences between the AIs But we have at least one from each faction, right? We've got the Desert Folk, the Intro, the Enemy, yeah, and the other one from the Desert. Okay. It's just really weird. Like, what's the point of putting those anti-air in your opponent's base but not building air units? It's like they're trying to do a base block, so they don't have to face any air units, which fine, that makes sense, good strategy. But then you'd want to use infantry to try and take them out, and you wouldn't put them by the... Okay, we've already talked about the spacing. We've gotten to this stage where the naval spot is down. Now, normally, pretty big detriment to the CPU. But because the computer's been spending 18,000 on these frigates that it just throws at its enemy, now that it's down, it will have to build something else. Is it going to be an air unit? Is it going to be something from the barracks? Will it be tanks? Because we haven't seen any tanks at all, and they do 55% versus cities. Okay, Blue's almost lost its boat. And we go with the bomber. Despite the air unit not being that far. Several anti-air. Air unit, I mean anti-air. Oh, turn 49. Who's gonna win? Now, I did watch this map all the way through with 0 changes from last time, by the way. Just to see if we get the same end. So far, it seems to be relatively deterministic between the computers. What's been happening? If my memory serves right, yeah, it's been 50 turns, so maybe my memory is a little off, but this seems to be spot on. I'd share this map if I knew how. It looks like in the roadmap there is a vehicle spotted. It looks like there's a way, like a Discord, to go ahead and share maps amongst people. Maybe there's a way I can do it in Steam. Maybe there's a way to share it. I'll have to look after this. If I found out a way, I'll share it. Just so either the devs can test, or if you're curious and want to test, go ahead. Okay, battlecopter with a more cheap unit. It's probably better to hold onto that repair fuel. Maybe there needs to be a threshold value. Like if it doesn't generate this much value, don't use your power. Maybe that's a hard mode, like AI thing. That's also true. You don't get to set the difficulty of the computers in this mode either. So maybe this is the casual computers? I never thought of that till now. This is why I can't shut up. I need to keep talking. Not just for entertainment value and observations, but that's a good point. Okay. So now we're seeing... See, that is what I like to see right there, because that's a $9,000 unit. If that can damage or destroy 9,000, it's paid for itself. Anything extra off the top is winning. Boom, no airport. The left side doesn't have any airports, and there it is. Our first infantry. 55 turns into the game, and we hit our first infantry. Oh, I'm tearing up. Okay, won't be able to return infantry of its own. So, in theory, right, green is going to take its harbor back, and then it should push its unit forward towards the top left-hand side, so that it can generate more gold income. It's doing that so far, which is great news. I don't know why it's moving these units to the left. Well, there's nothing really protecting orange either, so sure, it's a little bit greedy to go for 2 opponents, but here we are. Looks like the bomber went to, I think last time when I viewed it, went down to the furthest one, so that's particularly interesting. And that movement also happened last time. Don't understand why. Not if it moved forward, I don't think it's in range of the bomber. And if it is, so what? Just build another one and you have, like, anti-air to protect it. Yeah, the computer probably isn't going to be smart enough to determine that it's using 24,000 gold to prevent a 1,000 gold generating structure would take 25 turns for it to make a profit. The bomber strike going deep into the base has paid for itself. It's taken out multiple structures and prevented its opponent from being able to build a bunch of units, and it forced it to spend 20,000. So that is a winning move for it. It seems now that the bomber is gone, sniper's moving forward, doing some jet on jet action. We'll see if this is going to be enough to hold. Now, it shouldn't attack. It's not going to be able to take it out. It should see the anti-air should be able to attack and take out a jet. That's 20,000 gold. If it's really value-centric, it should go for that attack every time. Even if it doesn't kill. It just neuters your opponent. Green's going to be recovering some of its gold. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is orange has been able to keep hold of its 2 extra buildings on the right side, and Decker has been able to do it for the left side, but has lost some. So, in theory, those should be the last 2 computers to live, because it was getting an extra 2,000 gold a turn versus the opposition. So, in terms of pure gold generation, they are the best. In terms of power, obviously being able to heal half your unit's HP in a wide zone, pretty good. I know some people have been complaining about the powers are like too impactful. To be fair, Andy's in Advanced Wars, it's like 1 or 2 HP across, depending if it's a normal or superpower. That plus doing 5, I think, is fine. I actually think that one's fine. The one Decker just used disabling your opponent's troops for 3 turns? No. If you're going to use a power, it should last 1 turn or maybe have a lingering effect. If it's like the fire gas, like it's the turn, it comes in, and then it sits there for a turn, and then it comes off. Another potential solution is, if these powers are going to be as impactful as they are, is to consider each time you use your power, it becomes more and more expensive, so it takes longer to charge. I haven't done exact calculations as to like if everyone has the same meter charge as well. Another tool to help balance the powers if you want to keep them the same. Another thing to keep in mind is, do you get more value from losing units or from destroying units? That's pretty important to keep in mind. I know for Advanced Wars, it is you get half the unit for when you deal the damage, and you get the unit cost in its totality if you lose it. There's those jets coming in. They're able to support each other, so this makes a little bit more sense. Plus, if you consider the EMP strike towards opponent won't be able to do much, makes a lot of sense. I don't see. That would have been 20,000 right there worth. It technically did more value in that spot because the battleship's 24, so that in itself. No, it did 40 because it's 2 times 20, and then 12,000 from the anti-air. That what? And it was just the one anti-air. Does it have a super high value for the building too? Even though the building not being able to attack does nothing? I don't... Or is it going for the most valuable unit? And then trying to hit... Yeah, maybe that's what it's trying to do. It finds the most valuable enemy on screen, which is the battleship, and then tries to hit as many possible targets as it can while still hitting that. I think that's what it does. Okay. That's not too bad to program, right? Like, you take the list of all units, find the highest cost, and then you find, like, you put that in a little separate list, and then you just plot out all the spots. If it's a plus, that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Like, you just have like a, oh, and then it's the 4. That's like a 13. You just rotate it through the 13 spots, and you figure out which one's got the most units. Okay, that makes sense. Yep, we lost the Navy again. Which, honestly, with how the computer operates, is a boon. Another bomber. If the battleship's still there at full HP, by the way, we'll have to see which one targets. It went for the bomber instead. Interesting. Also, first CP down. Important thing to note. Now, Decker should, in theory, be the one that wins, because it will have 2 bases worth of income. And it gets to decide from multiple locations where to put its units. Nasty MP strike. Yeah, that had more hits than the battleship. Okay, yeah, we've cooked. We figured it out. Maybe that'll help you in the campaign if that's still how things operate. See how it went all the way to the left? It still had that unit in there, which got the most HP. Okay, because the battleship will only heal 2. That healed more than 2. Okay. Looks like Jackson is probably the next to go. That turned 78, yeah. We are 34 minutes in. Jeez. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the nice jazz in the background last time. It came from YouTube Music. They were nice, easy jams in the background. Let me know if there's other music you guys want if I do more of these in the future. Yeah, it's impossible to attack that harbor without getting hit. It does seem to factor in a little bit of the retaliatory strike. Because if it attacked the structure, it gets hit by the frigate and dies. If it attacks the frigate, it dies. But it moved over and attacked the anti-air, but it's designed to prevent value from happening. So why didn't it attack the building? Because the anti-air can't attack it because it's a ground unit. I'm not sure. Well, we know that the computer really favors air units. So hear me out. If it favors air units, the computer favors taking out anti-air. That can continue to build air units. Maybe that's what's happening. Yeah, no, yeah. Bombers wreaking havoc in the background. It's on tires, so that's probably why it's not moving that far. It's not actually the computer being silly. Just a massive heal right there. Well, look how devastating the strike is because the battleship is perfectly blocked. Like it can sit there and do retaliatory strikes. EMP, kind of disgusting though. The other thing I want to note is where it builds. So we saw the jet come on the left-hand side of the building. I believe that's where the bomber came out of as well. Okay, it came out of the bottom for the harbor, because it couldn't come out of the left-hand side. Came out of the left-hand side for that harbor. Came out of the left-hand side for that airport. Massive heal. Can't take the other units. I don't think it built anything. Came out of the left-hand side there. So yeah, it seems to always come out of the left-hand side. It doesn't think about where the unit's gonna path from where it builds. So how would we resolve this? First thing it should compute is if any square is in range of an enemy unit, and then not build it there. Then it should factor in how close it is to either its own units, but that could get really complicated, or maybe just where the opposing base is, and if tied, coin flip it, just to make it simple. Yeah. Also, I know it doesn't show it on screen right now, but I believe we've seen an EMP plus the Decker debuff. It should probably factor in if something is debuffed or not, and which debuff it has. Because some of them, really high synergy. EMP plus being stuck in an AoE, really powerful to stack. EMP plus can't shoot, well, pointless. That might be something to consider as well. More chance. See, this is the thing that confuses me, is how it starts this chain. Because it's been, at least out of the two games, it's been fairly deterministic. Maybe I'm using that term a little too loosely. But it goes from hyper aggressive aerial patterns to hyper-aggressive boats. My hunch is because it always gets to the airport before the harbor because of the other pathing, that the computer starts to build air units because it sees it can build air units, so there's a bias towards it. And then in response, the computer builds air units. So it's a little bit of feedback. And then, and then once it takes the harbor, not only does it see that it can build frigates, that was added to the unit list, and maybe because it was added, its positioning, it favors the topmost more, and because those get added to the top, maybe, or something like that. Coding would be weird, man. What was that movement? This is casually moving a jet into 3 units in range. What the hell? Yeah, that bomber is uber toast. This looks like exactly what happened last time at around the same turn. I'm not going to spoil who wins. You should be able to figure it out by now. Just through some of my talking points alone. Okay, it keeps. Only just 20%, so it's going to heal that back constantly. 20% heal back is probably fine. An idea. Not sure how much of a pain this would be to code based on the code base, but if you attack a structure that isn't at full HP, that's your own, maybe that helps get it quicker. Because that could help prevent some of this gameplay of I flip it, you flip it, I flip it, you flip it, or you have to, let's say it's at 4 HP, you attack with an infantry, that does 4, that puts it in neutral, it doesn't recapture it. You'd have to do 41% for it to fully flip. Maybe that's worth exploring that space. Green had all this extra value, which going to waste. Their base is being bombed. They didn't respect their opponent. That's what it is. Blue has perished, which means base is up for grabs. There's only 1 infantry that has been built the entire game. So, not all is lost. Massive hit on that base. Getting rid of the battleship. Its own is going to go as well, but it is what it is. For anyone curious as to why I have the labs out there, I have it as the HQ. I could have done the radar as well, but I wanted to show off the different buildings because they worked hard. They look good. It's a little more pleasing for the eye to see a variety of stuff on the screen rather than this. That's why the cities in the middle are different than the city on the edges. You want to take more stuff over? Was able to keep that battleship alive. My bad. I thought it was gonna go down. That is just so many tank units. It's gonna be difficult to keep a hold of. Full HP battleship should be able to control a bunch. Boom. Bunch of defensive buildings are gonna have to occur. See, it started the furthest left. The most it could have healed was on that anti-air and the bomber, but the bomber's with more gold, so it shows that. That's smart. Good. And you can see it clicked all the way to the left, so I think that's where it starts. When it scans, it starts on the left-hand side. Which, I mean, you have to start somewhere. You have to tell the computer what to do. So it's just an interesting note. Can't build any more aerial units. Ooh. Killer attack. I remember that one happening too. Yeah, these games seem to be identical. Identical. Which also probably means there's like a little to no variance in the attacks. You do as much as the display, there's no plus or minus luck roll. Okay, come in for another attack, trying to take that out. Most value occurring. It's hard to program like more abstract concepts like pressure, so I don't mind it like hitting over there and not hitting right where it's being attacked. Although if you wanted to try and do something, you could have a predefined starting square. Like, maybe you take an array of all of the buildings you have, and then take those coordinates, and then like make a 2x2 grid around it, and that draws the home base. And if there's units there, it tries to prioritize that to help keep it safe. And maybe there's a threshold value, otherwise you could cheese with like one random unit in the background. Now it looks like orange is going to win. Basically because of the power. Being able to heal through all this damage is massive. Now well, we're down to 4 units. Yeah. There's the battleship. Weird play. Just should have gone for a frigate to take stuff out. There's the boat to try and take over the oil rig. Interestingly enough, it favors the harbor. It doesn't look at how much the structure generates. It prefers to produce units, which makes some sense. Okay, we go in. So basically our last hurrah here. Artillery, tank, anti-air, chopper, tank, bomber, artillery, artillery. And the only reason why I talked the way I did is I wanted to make note of the order it moved its units. There didn't really seem to be a rhyme or reason as to which unit moved where. Like I was saying, like you'd want to do your artillery because if there's no targets for the artillery to hit, it would push forward with the artillery to help create more space, and then you have the guard that moves in front of it. Boom, 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 and you just kind of cycle through to create that pressure. Anyways, let me know what you think of these CPU battles or AI battles. I think they're pretty interesting. This one was a little bit longer, and I think we found some pretty important details. Hopefully, this helps the developers for Warside. If not, sorry if I wasted your time. Just trying to be a little helpful. Take care.